This is going to be a controversial video, no doubt, but I want to offer a cautionary tale for all of those that are choosing to be single. I'm making this video on the backdrop of reading this study called The Rise in the SHEconomy from Morgan Stanley that predicts that by 2030, something like 45% of women will be single. Between the ages of 25 and 44. So I'm making this video because we're actually coming up to that in about 3 years, roughly. We'll see this future eventuate, and it will be interesting to see whether the prediction comes true. But one way or another, I'm still going to cover it anyway because it's important to offer this cautionary tale. Now, I want to make something very clear. This video is actually targeting people that choose to be single regardless of their gender. So even though this study is focusing on women, I want to make it clear that this video is actually just generalizing to all people that voluntarily choose to be single for life, on the basis of wanting greater personal and economic freedom, which, as you'll see in this video, will actually probably not be the case. So let's get started. So for this video, I'm going to make 3 assumptions. I'm going to assume that inflation globally remains the same, in the sense that over time, the average amount that you can buy with your money decreases, your real purchasing power decreases. So the first assumption is that over the course of the next 50 years of the human race, inflation remains the same, which is that it's going to continue to go up. I'm also going to make the assumption that access to high-paying jobs remains competitive. So high PG jobs remains competitive. So people vying for like a 6-figure salary and those sort of jobs remains competitive regardless of the future. And I'm also going to assume that government policy change is slow. All right, so policy change is slow. So these are my 3 assumptions for the next 50 years. Which I think are all pretty reasonable, I would say. So let's say we've got a 25-year-old person here. Let's just go 25-year-old person who is choosing to be single. And then because the study did say about 45%, which means that there's another 50% of people who are coupled or whatever, right? So let's assume then that this 25-year-old person is here, and then we've got a couple over here who are also both, let's say that they're 25, right? And this is a couple. Let's assume that the 25-year-old single person is on an income of 60k Australian dollars, whatever. And let's assume then that the 25-year-old couple is on a combined income of 120k, okay? Now, let's bring this down a little bit. Actually, a lot more. Let's bring this right down. Let's assume that both of these... let's also throw in another assumption that family inheritance remains the same. So let's go inheritance remains the same, the IRS, right? So even if this person gets inheritance, this couple also get 2 sets of family inheritance. Let's just assume, or if you could say family support, right? So let's say that the 60k and the 120k, and even if we tack on another 10k from family support, and here we're going to tack on another 20k from family support. Let's say that these 2 people are both vying for a house. And I can't really draw, but just assume that that's a house, okay? And let's assume that I can draw better, but let me just bring this down even further. Who do you think is going to get the house? Imagine you're a real estate agent and you have to choose between a 120k couple or a 60k single person to own this home or get a mortgage. Who are you going to choose? You're going to choose this couple, no doubt, right? So this particular couple will move into the house. This person, who's the by choice person who prefers financial freedom, will actually end up just being a renter. They will rent, right? Now, if you look at really any data on this, if you have the average income, if you're on an average income, about 60 to 70% of your income will be absorbed by rent. So this 25-year-old person who prioritizes freedom will actually be inversely required to pay up majority of their income to rent, right? And if we assume as inflation goes up, high-paying jobs remain competitive, policy change is slow, and their family inheritance is stabilized, this person who chooses to be single may very well be trapped in a cycle of being a renter their entire life. Now, if we use any recent economic data, we know that the average cost of rent actually goes up faster than the average income. So rent's going up and income is kind of plateauing, right? So this 25-year-old person is very likely to actually not succeed in the moral or ethical principle that they want to find themselves in, which is financial freedom, because they may very well be trapped in a world in which they are continuously paying rent across their lifespan. Because if we assume inflation remains the same, high paying jobs, competition remains the same, policy change is slow, and even if they get family inheritance, everybody gets family inheritance. That sort of equalizes the playing field. And a 25-year-old person may very well spend their 30s, 40s, and onwards in a cycle of paying for rent, which is interesting because then it actually contradicts their preference to be independent and free, assuming under my assumptions. So what does this mean? This means that, and we know through psychology research, that as financial pressure goes up, mental health, I'll just go MEH, mental health goes down. And we assume that a person is going to be trapped in this box for a very long time. We can assume that this mental health might actually plateau quite a lot, which then inversely contradicts their preference for stability and freedom and personal choice, because if we assume my assumptions, we can realistically infer that it's unlikely that they'll actually be able to live this life. They will just be trapped in a middle class income, having majority of their incomes chomped away by rent and inflation and sort of cost of living. And unless there's rapid policy change, and even in countries where there is rapid policy change, it still is a bit slow and doesn't actually support the citizens all that much ultimately. So I hope that this quick video, I don't even know how long it is, but hopefully it provides to you an interesting perspective on the potential risks of choosing to be single across the lifespan. I personally believe that choosing to be single across the lifespan is incompatible with human nature, and I don't want people to fall into that particular trap because they might be crushed by macroeconomic factors and will inversely contradict their preference for freedom when they will be controlled by macroeconomic factors like rent and continuous inflation increase and lack of policy change to protect people who are single. And without any support from a co-partner or other family members or friends or whatever, even with those supports, friends aren't going to give you money, so to speak, unless you're congregating in a rental together. So we might see a rise in single people that are buying a house together probably, but it's not ideal to do that because it could then result in them fighting each other and getting their house then split up between all of them, because humans are all fundamentally the same. So, and that's not to mention loneliness and mental health. As mental health declines, loneliness will probably increase greatly as well. And if a person is trapped in a bit of a financial box, then their ability to go out on the weekend and spend money will be increasingly more challenging. So that's my case for, if you choose to be single, you got to think about the macroeconomic factors. And it might inversely contradict your preference to be free, when in fact the economy will control you. So yeah, choose wisely, everybody. And thank you for watching and subscribe for more.